Today, I want to talk about something I think a lot of people get wrong in marriage. I believe many people have a good spouse, or at least a potentially good spouse, and they don't even realize it because they've diagnosed the problem in their marriage incorrectly. One of the biggest complaints I hear from couples is this: he is not putting in effort. She is not putting in effort. In fact, if you've been on social media lately, I'm sure you noticed that effort has become one of the biggest buzzwords in relationships right now. But this is what I want you to really hear me on. As a marriage therapist, I have not met many people who are putting absolutely no effort into their marriage. Now, hold on before you disagree with me, because I know some of you are saying, oh, you've not heard this story. The issue that I always see is not always a lack of effort. The issue is that many couples have a very narrow definition of what effort is supposed to look like. We tend to define effort through our own lens. And when our spouse's effort doesn't look like what we personally value, we dismiss it. We don't count it, we don't acknowledge it, we don't give it credit. And over time, that creates resentment. So today, I want to talk about three important things I have understood about effort, and I want you also to understand. Number one, effort does not always look the same. For example, let me give example. In my marriage, I don't look at my husband and conclude he's not putting effort into our home because he doesn't cook or do the dishes. Why? Because I am looking at the bigger picture. I see effort in other places. He handles repairs, maintenance, logistics, subscription, car servicing, things breaking that I don't even think about. In fact, there are things that just function and I don't even know how they function. Such that if he stopped doing those things tomorrow, there would be a big vacuum in our home. So yes, that is effort. It is just not effort that looks like mine. And I see this is the mistake that couples make. Another example I see often is a wife may not be bringing in money, to the home, but she's managing schedules, she's caring for the children, picking them from school, carrying the mental load, remembering appointments, making sure everyone's needs are met. That is effort. That wife is putting effort. A husband may not be expressive with words, but he may be carrying enormous responsibility behind the scenes to provide stability for the family. That is also effort. So this is the deeper issue. Many marriages are not suffering from a lack of effort. They are suffering from a lack of recognition. They are only counting the contributions they personally value themselves, and they are overlooking all the contributions that make their spouse committed to the marriage and make the home run smoothly. So you can't only look at effort with the same lens, because effort does not always look the same. Sometimes it looks completely different. Now, the second thing that couples miss when it comes to effort in marriage is recognizing that effort will fluctuate across different seasons of marriage. Effort is not static, it is seasonal. And if you expect effort to look exactly the same throughout every season of marriage, you are going to become frustrated very quickly. One of the biggest mistakes couples make is evaluating their marriage as if contribution should always be the same. It should always be equal. It should be 50-50 at every moment. But healthy marriages don't operate like that. They don't operate that way. Healthy marriages understand that, for example, when a woman has just given birth to a baby, it may look like the husband is doing more and carrying more in certain areas. He may be doing more of the school runs, more of the errands. He may be doing more household responsibilities. He may be doing more, and it seems like he's carrying so much more than the woman. And that is okay, because one person is recovering, adjusting, and carrying a different load. Then there may be other seasons where maybe a husband is building a business, or he's changing careers, or studying a course or something, or navigating a particularly demanding professional season of his life. And suddenly, it may seem like the wife is carrying more emotionally, practically, or financially. And that is okay too. You can't run your marriage like a competition where if I do this, you have to do this. No. Instead, you have to see it as a partnership. It is never always 50-50. Sometimes it's 60-40, other times it's 100-100, and there are times where it's 70-30. The question is not, are we both doing exactly the same amount? It is, are we both committed to supporting this marriage with what we currently have? Because what you have available in one season may not be what you have available in another season. Sometimes effort looks like energy. Sometimes effort looks like sacrifice. Sometimes effort looks like provision. Sometimes effort looks like caregiving. Sometimes it looks like simply surviving a difficult season while still showing up for your spouse the best way that you can. When couples stop measuring contribution and start viewing marriage through the lens of partnership, they experience far less resentment in their marriage. Marriage is about taking turns being strong for each other. It's about carrying each other when you both need it. Both partners bringing their best to the table and ensuring that they are putting effort, even if the effort doesn't look the same. And to the sensitive one, I got a lot of DMs on this one, and I will explain. Number 3 is that effort should be measured by intentionality, not preference. So let me explain what that means. For example, your spouse may not love you in your preferred way, but are they trying? Are they learning? Are they adjusting? Are they responding when concerns are raised? Because there's a huge difference between imperfect effort and no effort. And many couples confuse the two. They see imperfect effort and they automatically say it is no effort. Don't confuse imperfect effort with no effort. This may be one of the most important ones you need to listen to over and over again. Their effort when it comes to meeting emotional needs may not be perfect, but are they meeting your functional needs? Sometimes when people say their spouse is not putting in effort, what they really mean is, my spouse is not loving me exactly how I want to be loved. And while I understand that feeling loved is important, and especially loving you in the way that you need, but there's a difference between a spouse who is unwilling and a spouse who is imperfect. One spouse refuses feedback. The other tries but gets it wrong sometimes. One spouse doesn't care. The other cares deeply but struggles with execution. One spouse dismisses concerns. The other one listens, learns, and gradually improves. Those are not the same thing. So as a marriage therapist, I am often looking for intentionality. When a concern is raised, what comes to my mind is, does this person make an effort to understand? Do they attempt to adjust? Do they demonstrate care, even if it's imperfect? Because effort is not measured by perfection, it's measured by willingness. A spouse who keeps trying, learning, growing, and adjusting is demonstrating effort. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not consistently, but effort is there. So the question I ask individuals is, can I see evidence that they are trying? Are they really trying? Are they trying to learn, to grow? And that is what you should be looking at. So before you accuse your spouse of not putting effort into the marriage, or before you silently resent them, I want you to pause and ask yourself, is it truly a lack of effort, or am I only recognizing effort when it comes packaged in a way that I personally prefer? Because effort is not always, it doesn't always look obvious. Sometimes it's visible, sometimes it's invisible. So the better question is, if they stopped doing what they are doing right now, would you feel the difference? Would there be a gap? Would there be a burden that someone else would have to carry? If the answer is yes, then effort is present. You may just need a wider lens to see it. And sometimes changing your marriage starts with changing your perspective and changing what you choose to see. Now, there's a big but. If you think that there's an absolute imbalance of effort in your marriage, then you should have that conversation with your spouse. Start by clearly identifying areas where you're putting effort. If you see that it has been consistently 80-20, find a good time, bring it up to them in a non-confrontational way, but clear and specific references. The goal here is not to fight them. The goal is to reach an agreement and help them see the imbalance in the effort. Now, you may say you've had these conversations because many times people say, oh, I've talked to them about it. But really, when I listen to what they say, they have just complained. They haven't really talked about it. So I have something that can help you analyze the situation and talk about this without it leading to shutdown, stonewalling, or a big fight. I'm going to link it in the description below. I call it the Ultimate Couples Hard Conversations Guide. You should get that guide. So if this video helped you in any way, please, I want you to do something for me. I want you to share it with someone that you think needs to hear this. Maybe even share it with your spouse. I want you to like it, subscribe so that you don't miss out on all the real conversations we'll be having about love, relationships, marriage, and dating. And I'll see you next time. Bye.